Hi, I'm Julie Steele, author of Moves for Launching a New Year of Student-Centered Coaching. As you probably are aware, we begin this guidebook by really focusing on the relationship building phase of the school year. We know that as coaches, to provide the necessary foundation for deeper coaching work later in the school year, we must start at the relationship level with teachers, starting from the beginning. Just like they're starting with building relationships the first days that they are together with their students, it's really important. This is also a really nice inroad to building our relationships with teachers, as well as starting that coaching partnership right from day one of the school year. We know that teachers are walking into the first few days of school with lots of things on their plates, schedules, what their content's going to look like, how they're going to navigate learning about a new group of students. So building a sense of community is on everyone's mind at the beginning of the year. It's a great place for us to partner with teachers in our coaching work from the first few days. We like to encourage teachers to include student voices as they are thinking about that classroom community, what they want it to look like and feel like and sound like. How do they want students to interact with each other, interact with them, interact with the content? And those are things that when we include student voices, it shows the students from the get-go that we respect their voice, we respect their presence in the classroom, because it is their presence that actually makes up that classroom community, as well as shows them how much we value their sense of belonging, that we want to create a space that they enjoy coming to each and every day, where learning feels safe, and the idea that they can be vulnerable in the learning space and share the things that are working with the learning, but also things that maybe are providing them a little bit of difficulty. So we want to begin having conversations with teachers on how are we going to include the student voices in this development of the classroom community early on. We're going to talk about just a few tips that you might engage in with teachers, and certainly you don't have to do all of these things, and you might find some things outside of this list that feel really organic in the work that you've already done with teachers, or just in furthering the relationship that you have with them. So the first tip I have for you is coaching into building relationships in the classroom. We know relationships building and the importance of relationships in every classroom. No teacher is going to argue with that. I think what we learned from the pandemic is that maybe relationship building is even more important than we've ever realized, and really gaining a sense of this collaborative environment, not only in between students, but between the students and teachers is really, really powerful. So when we can partner with teachers to begin thinking about the relationship building in their classroom, it gives us an opportunity to create an immediate sense of belonging for students. When we're starting to ask them from day one, what do you want this classroom to look and feel like? They're going to walk away feeling that they are a part, they're listened to, they're heard, and their teacher really wants to make a space that is designed just for them. So coaching around relationship building is not a waste of time. We often assume that people have intentionally thought about these things. And so having those conversations with teachers early on and asking them, how are we going to include those voices, is really powerful. Once you've done that, then you can really start thinking about how can we include those student voices? How are we going to manage that at the beginning of the school year? Some of the things that we want to hear from students is, what are your desires for this classroom space? Maybe the physical space is one thing, but also what do you want the atmosphere to feel like? How do you want your peers to have conversations with you, to discuss, to challenge your thinking? What is that going to look like? What feels good in that space and what doesn't feel good in that space? But really tapping into that social emotional level of students and building that within the classroom community. It's this feedback that will allow us to really co-create the norms and expectations for all of the work that we do with students. There's also another tool, language, that you can use around some of these things in the tools and artifacts section in this particular move. The third thing that we can do as a coach to really get maybe a little deeper into students' thinking is offering to engage with students either in small groups or individually. We know that oftentimes when we ask students questions in a large group, you're only going to have a handful that feel brave enough to actually share their thinking. So when we reduce the group size, many times we can get really to the heart of where all students are seeking understanding and where they want to show up in the creation of this classroom community. This is where sometimes we can tap into those that might be perceived as stragglers or outliers in our classroom community, where it's really hard to figure out what really makes the student tick. So we can begin to go in and just ask a set of questions, the same set of questions to all students, to be able to provide the teacher with just another layer of information about things that are really going to be necessary in terms of building their classroom community. The final tip that I have for you today is to continue to check in with teachers about their classroom community. So think about, we have the State of the Union address, and we've got some tools to check on the state of the faculty in terms of engagement with coaching, but we can also engage with teachers on this state of the classroom conversation throughout the school year, guiding them through a reflective practice to think about, are things functioning well in the classroom? Are students engaging with each other? Are students really communicating their needs in terms of what their learning looks like at the moment? And if that's not feeling up to par or where the teacher had really envisioned the classroom community being at the beginning of the year, then we can go in and create some further opportunities for coaching. How do we get it back up to where the teacher feels that it's best functioning? As you begin coaching partnerships this next school year, I hope that some of these tips are really helpful in allowing you to not only assist teachers in developing a classroom community and a classroom culture and environment that is really conducive to meeting students where they are, both academically, behaviorally, and emotionally, but also that you'll find that this gives you a sense of collaboration and horizontal partnering with the teachers from the very first days of school, so that you feel like you've already started doing some coaching partnerships, and that will get you set off for just a wonderful year of deeper coaching as you can connect back with those teachers. Thanks.